Hello, lover. You've just entered a portal of pleasure, power, and deep, unapologetic sensuality. This is Talk Tantra to Me, where we liberate your authentic self, reclaim the wisdom of the body, and let pleasure lead the way. I'm your guide, Leola, tantrika, pleasure priestess, best-selling author of Sacred Sex Ed, and devoted student of the erotic mysteries. I'm here to strip away shame and awaken your most radiant, sacred, and sensual self. Get in, babe. We're conspiring for your most pleasurable life and seducing the world into a greater good. So, take a deep breath with a vocal exhale, relax that delicious body of yours, and let's talk Tantra. If you are loving this podcast and are ready to take it a layer deeper into a more embodied practice, then I highly recommend you check out the Higher Love Club Vault. This vault has over 50 hours of transformational teachings on Tantra, sacred sexuality, shadow work, conscious relationships, money as a lover, inner child, divine feminine, divine masculine, so many incredible teachings and guest experts, and it's all self-paced and includes actual guided practices. The best part, again, is it is completely self-paced. So you can tune in whenever you desire. We have an app that you can log into and access at any time. And here's the real kicker. Guess what? I'm giving you a month for free. Yes, that's correct. Use the code EXPAND, EXPAND, and you will get 1 month for free. And after that, it's still only $33 a month for unlimited access to all of these incredible teachings. So there's like zero risk to try this out. Please check out the link in the show notes to join. It's the Higher Love Club Vault. Can't wait to hear how you integrate and embody these juicy teachings. All right, folks, welcome back to Talk Tantra to Me. Today, I have on the podcast Samantha Charles, also known as the Houston Tantra Girl. She is a somatic priestess and also the founder of Skin and Soul. Soul and Skin.
Skin and Soul.
Skin and Soul, which is her community for tantric events in Houston, which we'll be chatting quite a bit about today.
Mm-hmm.
I've been very blessed to hang out with Sam in many spaces and containers, some of them mine, some of them not. And it's fucking awesome that she now has created her own incredible tantric community in Houston, which we'll be chatting about today. What that's looked like. Samantha's also going to be coming in to guest teach inside the Pleasure Priestess, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
So we'll be teasing some of the things that she'll be sharing in that space as well. If you want to learn more about the Pleasure Priestess, you can check out the link in the show notes. But that's the year-long tantric initiation for women that you want to be a part of. And Sam was a part of it, and now she gets to teach in it.
You do.
Which is super cool. So with that being said, I would love to hear more about what pulled you into this space originally, Tantra, shamanic sexuality. Yeah, what was that journey like to get
Yeah.
there?
Well, it's how far back did we go?
Always the question. How many lifetimes have you been doing this?
Yeah.
No.
Well, what just came to mind is actually really funny. So whenever I was married and then I got divorced, and actually he was the one who, we went to one of your, the first event that I ever went to was with him.
Yeah.
And it was one of your original ones, I think in Austin with, forgetting her name.
Azrael Black
Wolf.
We did some Tantra meets BDSM workshops.
Yeah. So that was my first entrance into your world. And then I think from there, cause things in my marriage and looking for deeper intimacy really, and trying to find different types of connection. And we dabbled in a lot of different things, and through that I learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about what I wanted and what I wasn't saying that I wanted or didn't know that I wanted. And then somehow found my way back into your world, and then found my way into a lot of other different worlds and oh my gosh. As I guess a young teenager, I started having sex really early, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And exploring in that and just being really curious about it, and just the human experience of that, and have always been really open sexually as well. And when I say open, I just mean like talking about it and like being really curious. And I was kind of the weird one in my friend group that was like that. And so that's kind of, you know, it's always been something that's like I've been open to and interested in. And then, yeah, I spent a lot of time in several of your containers and have done a lot of my own like research and podcasts, really like listening to audiobooks and just like kind of like fire hosing myself with like a lot of different information.
Yep. Just like the caterpillar eating it.
Yeah.
Eating it all up. Yeah. And you did that. And then you went into this cocoon of transformation and came out the other side. And now you're this beautiful butterfly that's just sharing your unique lens on what it means to live the tantric lifestyle, which I love because it's so different for each and every one of us. And so that first container of mine, was that your first like entry into Tantra, or?
I think so. Like actually, like what, like in a contained form, if that makes sense.
Like
you know, I think, in person, and like it was actually called Tantra. And I think that there's like ways that I was like involved in that type of stuff for a long period of my life, and I just didn't know that's what it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was about 4 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Right? Because I was a little bit more than 4 years ago, probably. Who are you now compared to who you were then? Like, what's the biggest shift in who you've become because of this space?
Well, I think it was like that and just going on like my spiritual journey around the same time that really opened me up to just like a lot. And I like kind of jokingly call myself a self-growth junkie. Like I just, you know, want to learn more and find more. And something I've learned, you know, in the last year or two is that's like learning in the mind is one thing, but like, you know, reading books and listening to podcasts, it's like a lot of mind and heady information. But what's really been helpful for me is taking it just to the body and like experiencing and having experiences, whether that's in like containers and retreats and workshops and stuff, or just like everyday life really truly is. There's a lot of lessons to be learned just in life and the choices that you make and just being intentional and aware of what is going on. But I was thinking too, like, so with the spiritual journey and all of that, there was just a lot that I was learning about myself. There's a lot of modalities and a lot of different things that, like, you know, we have access to freaking everything on the internet, you know, and it's just like rapid fire, a lot of information. But I really, really enjoy learning about myself, and I really enjoy teaching and sharing. And so I think that that's been like just a really big, obviously there's lots of growth in that whenever you're like spending a lot of time in that. And I think some of the biggest things that have come out for me have been, like I was saying, learning about myself and how I didn't know what I wanted, and like becoming more connected to me and myself inwardly, rather than being somebody for other people or somebody that some people wanted me to be. And so that's been probably like the most massive thing for me in all of this, is just really coming home to me.
Love it. If you're open to it, I'd like to invite this into just a little bit more tangibility, specifically around the relationship. If you're open to it, because you went to this event with your ex-husband, and now you're leading a community in part with your new partner. Like, what does that look like? Like, what's the difference to knowing yourself? How has that shifted from relationship A to relationship B? Yeah,
so relationship A, you know, we were young and like had kids young and all of this, and he's a really wonderful man and still in my life. But I think that there were ways that like I wasn't being true to who I was, and I wasn't speaking up for myself, and I didn't know myself. You know, and then once I got to know myself and was like holding boundaries and different things, it just like, it didn't work anymore. And it's funny because whenever we were at your event, I remember him saying like, you could do this.
He knew, and now you are.
He's like, I can just see you doing it. And I've been like, that's come to my mind a few different times recently. I'm like, wow, that's super interesting. He was kind of like that sometimes, you know. Cool. He could like pick up on things and would say things that were would happen is interesting. But, and, yeah, so that happened, and I got a divorce, and I got into another relationship where we are now creating things in Houston, right? And you know, that's been a lot of our journey, is like me introducing him to Tantra, because he's a pastor, and he has like the whole spiritual aspect of his growing up, and you know, his like needing to rewire himself as well, and like all of that goes on in traditional religion upbringings. But with that, you know, he's like calls himself the Tantra pastor now.
Oh, I love it. I haven't heard that one. That's great.
Yeah, because he still like has that training and has that knowledge and stuff, because he's done it. That's just like what he started out doing. He like got the call really young. And so he's taught me a lot about spirituality and even religion through a different lens, because I didn't grow up like that. I wasn't, my grandpa was kind of an atheist, and my mom and my dad were just like, be a good person, you know, like that's our religion.
Yeah, you guys have a really beautiful relationship where you very much are his priestess and he's like a magician, and like it's this cool interplay that you have. Yeah. And so I remember it was like probably almost a year ago now, where we started, every now and then I would be like, oh, Leola's having a play party. And he would like freak out, you know, he'd like, With your ex? Or
with Anthony.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know this.
Yeah. So he would just like, it would send him into this whole thing. Cause I think he like thought that we were going to go and like, I'm going to have some experience and some guy's going to take me away. It's like what he's shared in the past. And I'm like, I don't think it's going to be like that, but okay, you know. And so I would just kind of like say things and then let him have his little freak out and like, okay, we don't have to go, you know. And then a couple months would go by. I'm like, oh, there's another play party. It's a kid-free weekend, you know. And I'm like, okay, you know. And then one day he was like, okay, let's go. And I was like, really? So then we went, and I forget if it was around the same time that we also went to the Tantra Love Retreat.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been right before or something, because then we were able to like go to that, and that wasn't a triggering event for him. But so I remember on the drive up here, I was like, I'm gonna want to host these in Houston. Like I know that.
Wow.
And he was like, what do you mean? Like, you haven't even been. I was like, well, I just have a feeling. Like I know myself. And you know, on the way back, we're like talking about how we can do it in Houston and where would we do it, and like all these different things. And it just like really spiraled from there, basically. I will say too that, you know, the whole Houston Tantra community was something that I resisted in the beginning. Like, it felt like it was something that was put on my heart by the divine, and there was like a lot of resistance for me. Like, I don't want to be the one doing this. Like, that sounds like a lot of work, and like, but it like wouldn't leave me alone. And there's also another aspect of, you know, I'm born and raised in Houston. I love Colorado. I've loved Austin. Like, I've wanted to just move out of Houston for a very long time. And it's just like the nature aspect that we don't have there. Yeah. And finally I was like, okay, I'm living in Houston. You know, me and my kid's dad are separated, but we're going, like, I'm going to be there for the extended period of time. Like, he's not going to be moving anytime soon. So here I am. And it's like, okay, let's just surrender to the fact that we're living in Houston. Stop wishing it was different. Stop trying to like scheme how we can move. And whenever I did that, it was like, okay, fully surrendering, we're here. And then it's like, Houston Tantra, you have to do it. Like, because it was also the community and feeling like my people weren't there. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm here, then I need to bring the community here, or like fluff it up and like create it.
That's so hot. You were like, what I want doesn't exist, so I'm gonna fucking create it.
Yeah. And I really do believe that. It's like, if you're not finding what you want, there's either a way to find it, or you just get to be the one to create it.
Yeah. But honoring the resistance and the whole journey.
It was the whole thing. Yeah, it was the whole thing. So we started out with Tantra 101, and we're still doing that every month. And we started doing that because I wanted to host play parties. And I'm like, okay, we can't just go from like 0 to 100. So let's do Tantra 101. And for a while we had these like Tantra 101 and play parties. And we're like, okay, we got to like have something. We're still going from 0 to 100.
Yeah. So I didn't know that Anthony went through such, is it okay? It's okay that I mention his name?
Yeah.
He's out.
Yeah, we're on the podcast. We have a podcast. He shares all kinds of stuff. Yeah.
So Anthony and Sam run Skin and Soul and the Houston Tantra community, really. But I wasn't aware that he had such a level of resistance to coming to some of these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I knowing his background, the religious aspects, like so many of us have faced that, totally get it. And he's such a natural, like, and you guys together are such naturals and just amplify the space in such a beautiful way. Like, I wouldn't have known that back piece, especially at the retreat too. Like, just adding so much color and flavor. And with that being said, yeah, it's a big experience. And I'm curious what you would say to people that maybe have misconceptions like Anthony did maybe in the beginning around like, oh, is this the right space for me? Because to me, it is such the right space for him because he is so spiritual and it can be such a great opportunity for self-development and such a great opportunity to find God in our bodies. So yeah, what would you say to people that are curious but resistant?
Yeah. Fuck around and find out. I that's been like a really big theme for me lately. Like this last month is it's like you're not gonna know until you try it. And also, you know, on the same hand or in the same thought, it's like it is important to be mindful of like your nervous system and your regulation and not like pushing, you know, we talk about pushing boundaries or pushing our edges and like, you know, having an understanding of where you are so that you're not like blowing your nervous system out of whack. And I think like with Anthony, you know, it was just like talking about it was triggering. So we would talk about it and like, you know, get him comfortable talking about it. And then it's like, okay, we don't have to do anything about it.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. And I think too, like another really big piece of my work these days is with parts work and IFS, internal family system. And so like being really respectful in that. Cause like if you push yourself too hard or too, you know, beyond what like these parts of us are okay with, it can like turn into this big clusterfuck of a situation where there's like all kinds of acting out and or shutting down or, you know, and then it can just be like this whole thing. But yeah, just like being gentle with yourself and it being okay that you're not there yet. And maybe there is no later that you will become there, but being okay with that and like finding ways to, if that is like an ultimate goal of yours, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So we've talked a bit about how this world has impacted well, I guess on a more personal level with you and Anthony, like what does being a tantric couple really mean? Or like, what does that look like? Or how has this relationship been so different than past ones because of having this technology? Because my understanding too is that, yeah, you guys kind of came together as you were deepening more into this work. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, how has relating to this work supported relating and like being in love?
Yeah, it is the best thing.
It's so good.
I think, you know, having the rituals and just different an idea of how simple it can be to create connection, like that's really the simplicity of it is really, really valuable because I think that, you know, we think that we have to do all these extravagant things in order to repair our relationships or go to therapy, couples therapy, or, you know, have this like 12-step program or whatever, you know, how to save your relationship and stuff. But really it's just like stop and like be with each other and just like make eye contact and breathe.
Yeah. And
I also do think that there is value in each individual. I kind of like don't believe in couples therapy, actually.
Ooh, hot take. Hot take. She doesn't believe in couples therapy. Tell me more.
I think it's like it's best for like both individuals to be doing their own work, and then you can come together as a couple and like not really need that.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you.
Like in an ideal situation, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of where Andrew and I are at right now too. We're not really doing couples work together much at all, but we're both very much in our own work. And And then we just integrate it together.
Exactly.
We have our rituals, as you had said. We have our practices that we regularly do and check in with that amplify that.
Yeah.
And integrate it into our unit. And I love that you spoke to the simplicity of this world and of this work, because it really is so much simpler than people are making it out to be.
Yeah.
And that's not to say, though, that it isn't valuable to have some frameworks.
Sure.
And that's obviously what we do in each of our works. That's what you're teaching at your workshops and parties and events and in your containers, and same in mine as well. So if people are listening and are like, what do I do? Where do I get started?
Come
show
to an
notes.
event. Yeah.
Show notes. Get those links. And I think that both of us are really emphasize, let's give people tools that they can take home, because we don't want you to need us forever. And you don't need to need us forever. It can really be simple.
Yeah. That's one of the things I've been seeing a lot, is like people wanting, you know, some life-changing experience. And I'm like, well, all of this is life-changing if you take it home with you. Yeah. Like, this is all really simple, and having these experiences is really nice, but what you do with it after is what actually really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And one thing I admire about you specifically is that you take the basic principles and then you get really creative. Do you mind if I share some examples of that? So, you know, in some of my containers, Pleasure Priestess, we would do rituals or talk about different concepts, and then you would completely spin them, like doing a yoni massage while working on your fatherhood wound and listening to country music during the yoni massage, like connect to your inner child. Like, do you want to speak to any of that? Like, you've been, again, just very creative.
Yeah. I have a whole podcast episode about that experience. It's called How Two Men Ruined Me in the Best Way Possible. Oh, man. Yeah, I've been like deep in some childhood wounding, repair, like curiosity, however you want to call that. And then also conjunctively, I guess that's the right word, together. Sure. It is now. Working in Tantra and in sacred sexuality. And I do believe that, you know, our sexual energy is like the most powerful energy. It's very creative. It's very healing. And so like, why not bring that into my inner child work?
Yep.
And so you want me to like share the whole experience?
Cliff notes.
Yeah. So I received a yoni massage, and I like planned it all out, where I'm like, okay, you know, I've received that from Anthony, and at the Tantra Love Retreat, that was something that we did as well. Actually, at the Tantra Love Retreat, I picked a particular man to be my partner because he reminded me of my dad.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's like, oh, what the hell? But like, that was my intention.
I get it.
Yeah. And it brought up like a lot of anger, and it was really interesting. Like kind of towards the end, I'm like coughing, having all this like, you know, somatic release. And so then I was like, okay, what would it be like if I recreated that? So I contacted that man again, and like, was like, okay, can we do this whole thing? And I had him do it, and then I had Anthony come up so that way he could be there to like hold me kind of towards the end of it. And yeah, I was like, okay, I want this music, and I want you to play country music because that's what reminded me of my dad. Like, that's all he ever listened to. And it just was a really interesting experience, and it opened up some doors for me as far as like repressed memories, and mostly like body memories. But it was been like a really, really fascinating, like that's what I've been focusing on kind of the last year and a half with my like any sort of work that I'm doing, medicine journeys, all of that stuff. Just like, that's what we're focusing on. And I don't know, the creativity from it is just like, oh, that sounds like a good idea, let me try it. You know, it's like this fuck around, find out kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could have been shitty and terrible, but like also it wasn't, and I wouldn't have known that if I didn't try it.
And I think part of that comes from your energetic perspective that's like, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even if like I re-traumatize myself.
Yeah. In the process.
But I love that you had so much allyship and support and community to know that, you know, you would be held.
Yeah. Side, and like, even really if it did go sideways or whatever, like I trust myself and the people that I invited into to be able to repair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so powerful, doing this work in community, which again brings us back to, you've created this incredible community. What are you loving about like being Houston Tantra girl, which, by the way, so I guess it was like a couple years ago then now that you did the retreat and you're like, we're doing these parties, and I remember you were coming into Pleasure Priestess and you were like, I'm declaring that I'm going to be the Tantra teacher of Houston. And I was like, yes, you are. Because Houston needs it. Like, before, a few years ago, I was going to Houston regularly to work with clients because there really isn't that there.
Yeah.
And there's so much need and so much desire and also so much resource. There's so many incredible people that are super ready to invest in this type of up level, that have really locked down their lives in, business and prosperity and other sectors.
Yeah.
But they're just so disconnected from their bodies and their partners. And it just tickles me that exists there now. And I want to see that in so many other places. So anyways, how's it feeling now? How are you? Like, what's your favorite part about working and bringing this to Houston?
Yeah. Well, that it needs it.
I'm doing something meaningful.
Doing something. Yeah. There is like a reward in that, doing something that's meaningful and that feels impactful for people too. Like, it's like they're coming into my world and I'm giving them tools, and then they get to go out, and that has like so many ripple effects that I'll never see. And I think that's really beautiful to think about. And right now there's like a few different things that we kind of have going. We have the Tantra 101, the play parties, and then I also host brunch and boobies. And then we're starting to do cuddle puddles now. So kind of just like we have this like rhythm going on, and I'm really like liking that. And then I'm wanting to add more, but I don't want to be the one doing it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm working that out and figuring out how to bring in other facilitators, because that's what I've noticed is like there seems to be facilitators, but for whatever reason they're not doing it. In Houston, yeah. And the Tantra community, there are people there that are teaching Tantra. But what I noticed is like a lot of them live there and then they come to Austin to teach stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's not, how can we do it here?
Yeah.
And that was actually like some of the hardship of creating this and like stepping into the shoes of like, okay, we're going to do this. And like, this is how I see it. This is my vision and this is my boat kind of thing. And there was like some rub between some other facilitators, and like it became this whole thing and like an initiation for me. I felt like I learned a lot out of that, and it was really challenging, and I got to have like difficult conversations, and also again like coming back to myself of like, okay, I know what I want to do and what I want to create, and if other people aren't on board for whatever reasons, like that's okay, and I don't need anybody's permission actually. And if they want to get on the boat, cool. If they don't, they have their own boat. Like we can all do this together. And that was a really, really beautiful experience, even though there was like a lot of friction and a lot of like, upset in it. But I feel really grateful for that, because I do feel like it helped me in my leadership and like, okay, this is what I'm doing, whether people agree or not. And that was really, really valuable to learn.
Yeah, the cool thing about soul-aligned businesses is they really are like relationships.
Yeah.
So they're going to initiate you just like relationships do. There's going to be conflict, but it's this beautiful thing where this unit gets to come alive and be expressed through the world, and then you also get forged as a leader and as your highest self.
Yeah.
In the process.
For sure.
So what has been the number one like forging for you, or the thing that you have been called forth to confront or master within yourself because of starting this community?
I think it's that like people pleasing and wanting people to like me, and the approval of others to do what I'm wanting to do. Like that's so massive for me, and it has been for a lot of my life. And I think that it is, of course, that's what's happening. Of course, that's the lesson. In this. So like you were speaking about the soul aligned and getting initiated in like relationships. They talk about, being in a relationship and then also starting a business is like the same kind of initiation sort of thing, where you just get like met with a bunch of mirrors.
Yeah. I was talking to Josephina, who has done a similar thing in Chicago, really built up the Tantra community in Chicago. And it was at our last retreat. She was helping us out, and she had this beautiful share for the group around people have no idea what it's actually like to like, yes, so much of this world and work is about sharing the fruits of this practice and seeing the transformation and feeling it. And oh my God, is it so fulfilling? Like when you have those moments where a couple is like finally going from breakdown to breakthrough, or a woman is like finally feeling pleasure in her body, feeling safe to feel, or, you know, a man is dropping into his heart for the first time, like, in, you know, since he was a child. Like, it's so amazing. And what it also is, running a tantra community, is constant rejection. It is rejection therapy day in and day out, because it's a very powerful modality, and it's triggering for people, and it's edgy, and you really got to put yourself out there. So I just commend you so much for doing that, for bringing it to Houston.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Hello, lover. I'm coming in with a time-sensitive invitation to a very special celebration. I cannot believe it's already been 2 years since best-selling book Sacred Sex Ed was born into the world. And in honor of this sacred milestone, you're invited to explore the taboo yet sacred connection between God and sex that others are too afraid to go near. Join me live for a free Sexual Shadowwork Playshop on July 1st at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you can't join us live, we will be sending out a replay within 24 hours, but you do need to be signed up. You're not going to want to miss this rare opportunity to experience embodied exercises and shadowwork frames that are usually reserved for my private clients, retreats, and masterminds. We're going to be doing practices that expand your capacity for pleasure, for juicier intimacy, and purposeful relating. This is a co-ed space to be real, raw, and move at the pace of your nervous system. Whether you've read Sacred Sex Ed cover to cover or haven't cracked it open yet, this Playshop is for you. We'll be partaking in practices that complement the book while exploring entirely new territory not found in its pages. Sign up for the Sexual Shadowwork Playshop in the show notes, or visit us at www.talktantratome.com/shadow. Happy birthday, Sacred Sex Ed, and thank you for being a part of this revolution. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about how this world and work has impacted your sisterhood, your relationships with women.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that that's something that's still evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of the people that were in the Pleasure Priestess cohort with me, I feel like, you know, I'm like creating sisterhood with them. And what I'm finding too is like a lot of my really close friends and people that I just like, oh, I love, don't live near me. Like they live not even like Austin, a drive away. Like I got to get on a plane to see these bitches. And and it's kind of frustrating, but also at the same time, again, with like the whole theme that I feel like is really reoccurring for me in this last year of like acceptance and like, okay, these people that I really love, they live far away, and we get to go and visit them and like make that, you know, a priority to like spend time together and like phone calls and things like that to stay connected. And also there is some value to it too, because it's like they don't live super close, so I can go and do my own thing and it does not feel like, oh, I need to get with them, or like, oh, I should, you know, go over to their house or whatever. So there's that. And I think, yeah, I've like been processing some too about this like lone wolf thing for me of like, you know, just like, oh, I just do it all myself, and like nobody's really on the same level as me. And I think that especially whenever I stepped into that like spiritual awakening and like just like fire hosing myself with all this stuff, there was like massive amounts of growth that happened, and like I didn't really resonate with the same people the same way. And it was like jarring in a way, or, you know, I felt like we couldn't really like communicate the same way, obviously, because we're different. Yeah. And actually in the last 6 months or so, there's been like a reconnecting with some of those people that were in my life and then weren't, and then now they are again. And yeah, I think that there is, you know, that concept of just like meeting people where they're at, and then also me feeling comfortable being who I am whether they agree or not. So here we go again with the people pleasing and the like wanting to be liked.
Yeah, that's a deep one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And what about with your like kids or your family dynamics? Like how has this world and work supported that? And also how does your family feel about you doing this work?
My mom knows everything, and she comes to Brunch and Boobies. Like, she's so cool.
Can you give people like a what's Brunch and Boobies in a nutshell?
Yeah, it's what it sounds like. But there's like a depth to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of my work for a really long time before I got, you know, more involved in the Houston Tantra community was about like releasing shame from the body and our relationship to our body and being fully expressive in that. So the Brunch and Boobies is a place for women only, and we get together and like share how we feel about our bodies, because like women have a lot of judgment that we were faced with both internally and externally and societally.
Yeah.
So it's a lot to get over sometimes, and we have a lot of different like hangups around that. And so talking about that and through the lens of our breasts specifically, and it's like you would be amazed at how many stories, how many different challenges people have, and it's always like the grass is always greener on the other side, you know, and there's always something there. And so I bring in some teachings around that, and we do an embodiment practice and like tantrically remove a top, sometimes together, like with each other, like removing it for your partner, or just doing it yourself. And so there's always different choices and stuff. And then we have like a beautiful brunch that my sister-in-law cooks for us. She's like a wonderful chef, and it's like such a vibe. It's like high tea, really, really pretty.
And Mama's coming along.
And Mom hasn't missed a single one.
She hasn't missed a single one.
No.
She was also your she was your exploration partner with the vulva casting
yes.
too. Right? Which I forgot to mention. I had Sam on the podcast a year or two ago. And we talked, I think the episode's called Pussy Reclamation.
Something
and we
like
talked
that.
a lot about these topics of, you know,
Yeah.
addressing shame in the body. And specifically, we also talked about this process of vulva casting.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that?
I have the boxes that I
kits.
like can still sell, but it's not like a focus of mine right now. I think that was another thing too, is like feeling like I wanted to bring that to Houston, but it wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
And so I kept having to come to Austin, and then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll put that on the back burner, build up this community, and then we can like bring those back. So I still have all this stuff and know how to do it, and I have the boxes too. A couple of people have reached out recently actually about the boxes.
I send people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know people ask, because I have my little casting of my sweet little pussy that is in my house, and whenever I'm doing an event or retreat, I bring it along and it's on the altar. So people ask all the time, and I'm like, here's the contact.
Yeah.
And you'll do them as ceremonies, like one-on-one, but you also have the kits that people can do them at home on themselves or with their partners.
Yeah, and I have like a video and instructions and all that and how to do it. It's pretty good.
Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Highly recommend. So your mom's like chill.
Yeah. My mom's chill. My dad and I don't really talk about it, but like surely he knows.
Yeah, don't ask him.
Yeah. And then my kids, you know, it's been interesting. Like they don't know totally what I do.
Yeah.
And also they know I do breath work, because that was like a big thing for a long time that I was doing. And so I think that they still kind of think that that's what I do. And I'm like, yeah, kind of, you know?
Yeah. We're vocal sighing over here. It's breath work, sound breath movement.
Yeah. Breath work and some other things, you know, and like dancing, because they see me dancing and movement in that, which is a lot of what I do also. So yeah, I think too, like, a lot of the tantric philosophy and stuff, it translates into all your relationships, not just like romantic ones, but like all of them. And I think that with the boys, you know, I have two boys, for the record.
And their ages?
Almost, they're having birthdays the next couple months, so 11 and 8.
Okay. And so they've been in this with you since like 5-ish, like pretty young.
Yeah. And I've always been very just like open with them. Like, I walk around naked. They're still like, they've taken showers with me still to this day, you know, not so much the older one anymore, but like, it's not a thing, you know, being naked, or they know about my bleed, because they're like Velcro, you know, they're attached to me all the time. So especially growing up, like, oh, what's that? So I just talk about it.
Yeah.
And anytime that they've like asked, they're kind of getting to the age where I hear them like asking some questions about babies and different things like that. And I just really like am of the belief that when they're starting to ask questions, they're ready to hear the answers. And the answers that I give are very like, just I'm answering the question. I'm not elaborating. I'm not like giving any extra information unless they ask. And so there's like this, it feels like a line because I know that some people like have gotten traumatized from how open their parents are with it. But then there's trauma whether you're not open, it's a whole thing. But that's how I feel like I'm, navigating that and doing my best in it all.
Yeah, I remember you sharing a story about that in the Pleasure Priestess because there's a lot of mamas that come through and everyone. It's really cool just to see like, your perspective and the different resources that people had, especially as someone that is on the path of motherhood as well. And I've also had lots of people read my book and say, this is like, I'm going to use this as like a resource to help with my kids, etc. I would love to create like a sex education program for children and I'm terrified of doing doing it well because already talking about sexuality is so taboo. Let's rope some kids in it. So anyways, TBD. But can you give an example of like your son maybe asking like how you would answer that as you had said, like simple but honest?
Well, I think it started, it's like how did I get in, because I know that I had them in my belly and then they came out. Where do we come out? Well, you come out of the vagina and like that whole process. And like I've gotten anatomy books out and we've like talked about it because that's another thing, like my history. I was a veterinary technician and I was going to be a nurse. Like I took anatomy and physiology probably about like 4 or 5 times over the course of my like education. So I'm like a huge nerd about the body.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot about it. And so we talk a lot about it like in depth. And so I would share that. And then, it's like there became a time where he's like, but I just don't understand, like, how did the baby get in there? And so then I would talk about, the sperm and the egg. And it's like that with everything, like with plants, there's like pollen and there's an egg that has to get fertilized and all things that are created, all the animals, it's all like that. And like, so that was that answer for a while. And he didn't ask like, how did the sperm get it? He didn't ask that. So I didn't tell him. And, that sufficed for a while, I was kind of like trying to bide my time. And then one day we were in the bathroom at a water park. And so we're in the bath, it's like a big bathroom and we're changing. And I went to the bathroom and he was like, cause he watched me like put my Diva cup in, and he was like, you can just put that in there. Like what, And I was like, there's kind of like a pocket in there, like, and it's where you lived, and he's like, what, whoa, you can just put things in there. And I was like, not, I don't just go around putting things in there. He's like, well,
it's not that kind of pocket.
No. And then just like kind of out of nowhere, he was like, well, can I put my penis in there? And I was like, no, it like shocked me. I was like, what? I was like, no. And he's like, well, why not? And I'm like, cause you're my son. And then we like, we were leaving the bathroom and shut the door and then we go to the water park. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, oh my, and then kids get just so distracted so easily too. And, so, we're at the water park and I'm like, God, like he's going to ask again, kind of like tripping myself out about it. And I'm like, what am I going to do? And like thinking about it and like, okay, how can I answer this in a way? But he never asked about it. And I was like, okay. And then like a couple months later, I brought it back up to him because I didn't want it to be like a thing, you know, because I think the way that I reacted was probably a little like, no, like, don't ask me that. So I brought it up and I was like, hey, do you remember that question that you asked me? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, do you have any questions about like babies or how they're born or like, is anything confusing? And he was like, well, I just don't understand like how the baby gets in there. And I was like, okay. So I told him about the birds and the bees and how sex is and like how men have penis, how we were all equipped differently and men have penises and women have vaginas and like there's an insertion. And he just started laughing. He's like, what? So you and Papa? And he's just like cracking up laughing. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, for how long?
How long, Sam?
I was like, I don't know. It doesn't take too long. Like, just like,
Yeah.
it was so funny. It was kind of a funny conversation. And I think it's really beautiful that he feels like comfortable to be able to ask. And I think that there's a lot of value just in that. And I was like, yeah, it didn't take like that long. It just like, that's how it happened. And then there were no more questions. And I'm like, okay. And then I did say, because he has a little brother and cousins and different things like that. I said, this is a conversation that a lot of parents don't have with their children. And you might be one of the only children your age who knows. And I'd appreciate it if you kind of kept it to yourself in a way. Or if you have questions, ask me or Papa. But don't go around just like telling other kids about this, because it's a conversation for their parents to have. And when the time comes for your brother to know, like, I'd like to be the one to tell him. I don't want you to tell him. And if you feel like you really want to tell him, like, come to me and let's talk about that. If you want to be there for that, we can do that. But I would appreciate if you like, kind of kept it to ourselves. And he did. I think so. I don't know. And then kids get older, and my second son, there's a whole different conversation there that like he found out through some other kids at school and like different things like that. But I have brought it up whenever I hear them talking about it. I'm like, hey, do you know what that is? And like want to make sure that they actually know from like a reputable source, and like that they can feel comfortable coming to me with any questions.
Chills. So incredible. Bravo.
Yeah, thank
really.
you.
Super cool.
I'm just out here doing our best,
Yeah. Very inspiring. I know so many people struggle with this.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Thankfully, I have some time, but I just think about my own sex education and the shame and the fear, like that he's like able to laugh and like you're welcoming the questions in such a wholesome way is incredible.
Yeah.
So
I think too, like one of the other bigger thing, or not another big thing that I would say for anybody like curious about it or conflicted about it too, is like, it's not a big deal if we don't make it a big deal.
Yeah.
And there is also that like the seriousness of like, you don't go around just like being naked and talking about this. Like there's things like our private parts. It's the same kind of thing. It's a private conversation. It's an intimate thing. We're not going around, you don't see people out doing it. But in nature, it's different. And, maybe one day it will be different, but also probably not.
Probably not. Who knows? Okay. So little veer to the left here. We've talked a little bit about the challenges that you have undertaken in facilitating as a tantrika. And at the same time, you've also walked through some really deep personal initiations, death mainly, and grief and heartbreak. And I would love if we could chat a little bit about that, because I feel like that's something that you really have a voice around and you also have mastery around. Really how you've bridged, the parts work as well as the shame pieces, the somatic pieces, like really just like you are a master in many ways of the taboo, and death and grief are so taboo and so hard for so many of us. And this is something that I think that you're going to be bringing into Pleasure Priestess as well for the ladies, but I would love to shift into your journey with that.
Yeah. So about 6 months ago, my little brother suddenly and tragically died, on Thanksgiving of all the days. And there's a way I'm grateful, because we were surrounded by so much family and like people had time off, and just like the family just continued being there, and that was really beautiful. The way that we handled that and had his like funeral and vigil, it was very different than people do. But yeah, he was diagnosed with gastric cancer, and then 3 weeks later he died, and it was just like this downhill, like what the fuck. We didn't even really have time to like process the diagnosis and like what we're gonna do before his symptoms were getting worse, and it was a whole thing. So he had just turned 30. So that's something that I've been walking through. So it was like about 6 months ago now, and it was just like so devastating. I mean, that was my first experience too with like a big loss like that. I've lost like my uncle and grandpa, and my real dad actually even died. But you know, it's like I didn't have a relationship with them. And this was like really, really big. And there's a lot of reasons why, but the way, like all the tools that I have had accumulated have really supported me. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't know where I would be. I don't know where my family would be without that. And really, you know, the things that we were doing is like, I remember taking my sister-in-law out whenever we first got the, like, we can't do anything more for him here, and you all need to go back on hospice or go home on hospice. I took my sister-in-law and we went outside and we were just like wailing by the fountains for like an hour. And I mean, just like wailing, and, you know, coming home and just like weeping and never really having that depth of emotion move through me in such a really big way. And, you know, all the stress of like, whenever he was home, like, how can like, this is not happening, you know, mm-hmm. Like, how can I was just like in so much disbelief. And, we were moving a lot too. And so there's a lot of like stress and a lot of stress and a lot of like uncertainty. And then he died and it was like, what the fuck, you know, this huge shock. And the weeks after his passing, and after we like, you know, did the ceremony and the funeral kind of vigil, it was different. I told my sister-in-law and my mom, I was like, let's go to the garage and like, let's just dance. And I put on this soundtrack and we just danced for, it was like an hour long. We were just in there crying and dancing and moving and yelling and just like having so much emotion move through us. And we would do that like every day. And it was helping the grief not be so fucking suffocating, you know, and not so just like, yeah, what else do you do besides like get swallowed up in this? And so it felt like this like lifeline, you know, that we're like, okay, you know, we're going to go and dance and we're going to like, it's going to be okay. Yeah. And then I started hosting it and like bringing some other family members and different community. 'Cause my brother was like, he was such just like really big personality, mm-hmm. or he was like a big presence. You know, I don't think he was like super crazy and super wild or really big and loud, but his presence, he was always with you and like you could really feel it. And he was funny and all these different things. And he also had a lot of families, like the way that we grew up, like one of our best friends growing up, like he lived with them and they were his son. And I was their daughter too. And like they were a second set of family. And, you know, so like they were grieving him as if they had lost a son. And then he had this other family that he lived with in Boston for a while, and they're grieving him as if, you know, and like another family, like he had a lot of different families. And the people that he was around and was friends with was like, they're really impacted by him and his presence, because people aren't present like that these days. Yeah. And so his funeral, and even at the hospital when he died, like, and Anthony had said, because Anthony's been in pastoral work for a long time and has seen a lot of funerals and a lot of deaths. And like, he's like, I've never seen anybody like a turnout like this for any sort of, you know, all of this stuff. And the hospital rooms are not full like this. And so he had a lot of people in his life that like really were touched by him. And so there was a lot of people that were coming to our movement, and it was like really helping them. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I remember like a couple weeks after he passed, I had this thought of like tantric grief came into my mind because of the way that I've been like processing it all. And I was like, okay, like what am I supposed to do with that? You know, like I'm not going to figure it out. And, but it would come through every now and then, and sometimes in the movement and sometimes in the way that I was crying. 'Cause I also had like learned this lesson very like a month before, that I hadn't been breathing when I'm crying. Oh. And like, just like, I've cried a lot in my life. Right. But like, just like how we hold it in and we tense and we tighten. I've watched all the women in my family do this, and other women in my containers too. Just like how we hold on, and we'll be like, you know, crying and like trying to hold it, and we're not breathing. And so I had this really visceral experience at a retreat where I was like crying, and for the first time, like actually breathing with my crying. And I was like, oh my God, I've been like ineffectively crying my whole life. Not really, but you know. And so there was pieces of that, and like crying and breathing and making noise and all the like tantric stuff, right? It's like sound, breath, and movement in a grief space. And so we've been doing that, lots of movement. And then I went to Guatemala with all the priestesses, and we had like some medicine ceremonies. And in one of those ceremonies, I got like so much clarity on like what tantric grief was and what it was going to be for me and for other people, and how I'm going to create this thing. And I was like, oh my God, okay. Another one of these like Houston Tantra community spirit led kind of things that I'm like, I don't know, you know, I don't want to be the grief girl.
No one wants to be the grief girl, but when God calls you up and you go to be the grief girl.
Yeah. And I had another lesson recently too, right? About like, okay, instead of being resistant, what if I'm like, wow, thank you, God, for speaking to me in this way. Yeah. Like you got really clear instructions. Like, okay, cool. Here we go.
Yeah, so to be clear, you went to Guatemala. This was a non-sanctioned Pleasure Priestess event.
Correct.
But a bunch of the sisterhood is so awesome that a bunch of you guys just went together. And I've heard from others that went that they had different downloads and they're bringing offers in. And I'm just like, yes, it's happening.
Yeah,
the army of Pleasure Priestesses is out. What I love about this story is, one, it's highlighting that the tantric life isn't just about sex and pleasure and like, ooh, I'm so high and turned on by life and it looks so good all the time. No, sometimes it wrecks you and it fucks you open and it hurts, and you still find depth and meaning and power and maybe even some pleasure in it. So I love that piece. And I also love how well it illustrates you and the type of leader you are, that you're like, I'm going to walk the talk. I'm going to really take a bite out of this experience of death and grief and see what I can do with it as a tantric priestess. Like, that's real leadership. So for anyone listening, I mean, this is an episode that's really about like stepping into leadership. And yes, sometimes it looks like, you know, claiming your territory as the Tantra facilitator. And sometimes it looks like this, like roping your family into the ritual of it all. Yeah. So thank you.
Yeah.
That being said, some people do want to bring this work into their communities. Maybe they haven't even explored Tantra for themselves. Maybe they have, but they're like, oh, I've always got to go to Austin or California or Europe or wherever to experience it. And I want more in my community. I want to bring my friends into this. And like, what advice do you have for those people?
Fuck around and find out.
There she is again.
I mean, really, you know, it's like you can get a group together or you can just host a class, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the people in your community if they're not into it. Another thing, it's like the location became a big thing for me. Like, where am I going to do this? Like, I can't just do it out of my house and like figure it out. You know, whenever you put your mind to something, like the universe is trying to help you out at all the times if you're not resistant.
One thing that you had mentioned earlier too was the pacing, or like the function of building the community. So for example, like Tantra 101, bringing in those entry level practices, priming the community, making it approachable, giving people the opportunity to choose how they want to show up in the space, the level of interaction, giving people permission to just watch, you know. Yeah. So you had mentioned some of those things. I think too, you know, you had already done so much work around understanding the nervous system and trauma, and being trauma informed, I think is really important. And also having mentorship and having other people walking the path with you is super valuable.
Yeah. And I think like attending, for me anyway, like attending people's experiences and retreats and workshops like really helped me, like, okay, how would I do it and what would it look like? And it also gave me ideas, like you were talking about, having a framework for what you're wanting to teach, and like, okay, then how can I bring my own like knowledge and make it my own? And I think that was really helpful for me. And like, again, you're talking about mentorship and just trying it, you know, and doing it and seeing what happens. Cause you're like, a thing that gets, I think, in the way of a lot of people is like this like perfection, or like, oh, I need to have this like nervous system knowledge, or I need to be trauma informed. It's like, no, you don't. Just like do it and learn and be humble about it.
Yeah. Own where you're at.
Yeah.
Own where you're at.
Yeah. Don't say it's a trauma informed class when you're not, you know, like just be real.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And how did Pleasure Priestess prepare you or support you in that transition? Because that's really when you started just taking off.
Yeah. Well, I think it was just like being in that environment and being around people and being able to ask questions and like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or, oh, I'm concerned about this, or, oh, I remember sharing about like all the stuff that was going on in the community with the other facilitators. I was like, this is crazy. Like having some people that are in your corner or in the field, right? And of sacred sexuality and Tantra, like they're in that world and they have a certain lens of acceptance for me anyway, of like, okay, I'm not like super crazy here. To have somebody to bounce ideas off of too. And then I feel like there's in some way, even though it's not really like a focus of the program, but there's like a level of accountability or like sharing like, hey, what was going on with that? Or you said you were going to do that. Like, where'd it go? You know?
Yep. Called forth.
Yeah.
Awesome. How can people get more involved in your community, your world, your work?
Yeah. So I have a website. It's called sacredspacesstudio.org.
Sacredspacesstudio.org.
Yeah. You can also Google Houston Tantra and my website comes up.
Or chat, right? Didn't someone
ChatGPT. ChatGPT is sending me clients.
Praise AI. It's got its flaws, but it's helping people find the Lord's work. I remember you mentioned that when you were in the program that like, someone found me on ChatGPT, and I was
so
like,
crazy. I'm like, I really made it, guys.
Look at that. AI is recommending me.
Yeah. But on my website, I have like our events list, and there's some events that are not just mine. Like I'm starting to like put other facilitators on there. Cool. And one of the things that I'm wanting, it's like, again, I've got like so many ideas, right? And one of the things is like having almost like yoga studio, how they have like the yoga studio and then there's classes all the time. So I'm like the Tantra studio and then there's classes all the time. So I'm working on that and like bringing in other teachers to like host different events. And the Tantra 101 that we do is every month, and Brunch and Boobies is every other month. And we're kind of like, you know, adding on to it as we go. And there's other people that are doing energy work and whatnot. I also have a Houston Tantra Telegram chat that there's like 170 people or something in there now. And it's been like a way to like hold on to the community and keep people in contact. And it's not like crazy active because I think sometimes that can get overwhelming, but there's been some really like cool conversations, and I'll share things in there every now and then just to kind of like keep conversation going. And sometimes people have questions or, you know, problems that they're having, and so it's a really like beautiful community space. So I have that.
That's so cool because when I moved to Austin, there was already like the Facebook page for Austin Tantra.
Yeah.
Or, you know, that's really cool that you are the founder of that Telegram.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I don't know why that specifically is just.
It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
I like it.
There was like a Facebook one, and I was like, well, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's that. And then also this like tantric grief. I'm doing a 6-month program, and I'm working on that. We're going to start in August. And so I have a couple of like masterminds going before then, between now and then. And yeah, it's just like a really beautiful way to be present amongst loss and allowing grief to like have its way with your body, and having allowing emotions to have their way with you. Because I really do believe that the reason we get stuck and have challenges in our body, whether it's like achy or anxiety or depression, it's because we're like resisting.
Okay, cool. And your episode, I'm pretty sure, is going to come out quite soon, so they should be able to join.
Yeah, I'll send you the link for that if people want to join like the mastermind.
Great.
Or the tantric grief.
Check the link in bio for all of that stuff with Samantha.
Yeah.
And again, Samantha will also be teaching in Pleasure Priestess.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll also get a taste of her there. But thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you to the listener for opening yourself up to this sacred and sexy conversation. We'll catch you next time on Talk Tantra to Me. Ta-ta.
Let's face it, babe. You didn't come here for a lukewarm life. You didn't live 8 million lifetimes to come here and play small. You came with a purpose. You didn't come here for a relationship that feels more like a roommate agreement than a love affair. You didn't come here to live in a soccer mom world while secretly craving your coven. You came here to be turned on by life. You came here for the kind of partnership where you get to soften, surrender, and still be wildly powerful. The kind of life that has you throwing back your hair and saying, yes, more of this. The Pleasure Priestess Initiation is an invitation into a deeper devotion to yourself, your love, and your purpose. This is a year-long tantric mystery school for women to be initiated into the sacred art of orgasmic leadership, to reclaim your dark feminine gifts, heal the sisterhood wound, and seduce the world into a greater good, where we do life and love together online, in ritual, month after month, and in the flesh for a juicy in-person immersion. Inside, you'll explore potent Tantra practices that are meant to be lived and also adapted to share with your beloved, with your sisters, or maybe even woven into your own offerings and community. You'll be held in a field of high-level support with guest sexperts, medicine women, and embodied leaders who are already walking this path alongside you, as well as a 24/7 access to our electric WhatsApp temple to stay connected, supported, and in celebration of this tantric life. This initiation is open for enrollment now to begin in the fall, but as soon as you join, you get access to a vault of over 100 hours of previous Tantra trainings, resources, and the vault of our past guest teachers. This is an initiation into your power, into your pleasure, and into the woman you know you came here to be. Click the link in the show notes to claim your seat in the temple, or visit us at www.talktantratome.com/pleasure.